Okay, to start off with blood pressure. Blood pressure is the force exerted by blood against the arterial walls. And there's two types of blood pressure, and we usually represent this as a fractional number. And the one we take as a reference is 120/80 millimeters per mercury. I don't know what the unit is, mmHg. The one on the top, the value on the top is the systolic blood pressure number. And this is when the ventricle contracts and it pushes blood into the aorta. So again, like when your heart contracts to push blood out, that's the blood going around into your body tissues. And then the value on the bottom, diastole, is when your heart relaxes and it fills with blood between beats. And that's why your heartbeat has a certain sound to it, and there's a rhythm, because on each beat it is one of the contractions, and then it relaxes to let the valves allow blood to flow back in. So there are two cases of abnormal blood pressure. When we have a high blood pressure, it means there's an inefficient pump and the heart is constantly working. And this could just mean you have a weak heart and your heart muscles aren't strong enough to pump at a good enough adequate stroke volume. And the other one is low blood pressure, which is when you have a reduced pump capacity and you have a weaker heart. And in these cases, you could get you could get a pacemaker attached to your heart, which helps pump your heart and circulate your blood better. So during dynamic exercise, your systolic blood pressure increases proportional to the exercise intensity. Because when you're exercising, your muscles are going to need to go through a lot of metabolic reactions, and therefore your cardiac output is going to increase because you need to support your working muscles with more oxygen. So in order to deliver that oxygen, your heart needs to beat harder. If there is a greater force of contraction, there will be a greater and higher rate of blood pressure, because the systolic value is the force of contraction. And then the diastolic value actually stays constant or even decreases a little bit, because as your blood vessels vasodilate towards your skeletal muscles, vasodilation means the arterioles are actually widening. And if there's widening, there's less pressure against the arterial walls. And this reduces the total peripheral resistance, which is the resistance to blood flowing through. Because of the vessel diameter widening, there's actually less pressure, and therefore the diastolic number can actually decrease. When this is different during static or isometric exercise, because static or isometric exercise means that you have to keep your body stable and in one place. And even in some cases, some people stop breathing in between when you're doing a plank. And generally, isometric exercise causes a great compression of all of your blood vessels. And this means that both your systolic and your diastolic blood pressure number is going to increase significantly, because there is no vasodilation happening towards your skeletal muscles, and all of your blood vessels are compressed, which increases the total pressure. For the systolic blood pressure number, that's kind of the same concept, but for the diastolic one, because of this contraction and compression of the blood vessel, it causes forceful constriction, and therefore there's greater pressure exerted and your diastolic number would also increase. And that is everything on blood pressure.